En su programa Café con Leche, la voz de los latinos en América. Estamos transmitiendo desde Hermosa 1470 AM, 96.9 FM. Les habla Lilia Galindo. Tengo al columnista Thomas Elias. Él escribe en 70 periódicos de todo California y aquí en el Antelope Valley Press 2 veces a la semana. Así es que lean su columna. Good morning.
Good morning, Lilia. Let's talk today about the governor's proposals to ease off and almost scrap California's prime environmental protection law. It's called the California Environmental Quality Act. Most people pronounce it CEQA and CEQA. And it's the law that demands environmental impact reports. It demands that people who are affected by projects have a voice in whether they go forward or whether they get cut back a little bit or whether they don't happen at all. And Governor Newsom right now is trying to gut that law and make it much easier for big developers to build big projects all over California.
Bueno, el día de hoy vamos a hablar de una ley que existe actualmente en California, que se trata de cuidar el medio ambiente. Se reúnen aproximadamente mensualmente para hacer un reporte del medio ambiente. Esta ley se conoce como CEQA y lo que está proponiendo el gobernador de California en este momento es de cortar eso para facilitar que muchas compañías que son desarrolladoras de vivienda, grandes desarrolladoras de vivienda, tengan la oportunidad de hacerlo sin tener que pasar por tanta reglamentación en cuanto al medio ambiente.
Okay, so to understand what he's doing, you have to first understand that for the last few years, developers have really dominated the state legislature and politics in Sacramento. That's what all these housing bills we've seen lately are about. Because the developers are getting their way because they pay for the campaigns of most of the legislators and many of the statewide officials, including the governor. They donate a lot of money and they get a lot of clout in return. And they want to build and build and build. And you see it all over California. You see these new buildings going up. And once they're built, you see vacancy signs on them because the rents are too high for most people to afford to live there. But now Newsom wants to expand this into big public projects. And it's really something that has a history. This goes back to when Jerry Brown was governor. And some big stadiums were built around California. And they were done in a way that essentially circumvented the California Environmental Quality Act. And I'll explain it in a moment if you want to translate that.
Bueno, entonces dice, en este momento los que desarrollan la vivienda, las compañías constructoras, pues han tenido mucho apoyo. Dice, hemos visto el crecimiento de muchas viviendas gracias a que estos constructores, estas compañías constructoras, tienen un apoyo muy grande de la legislatura, ya que ellos apoyan con dinero para las campañas de las personas que están en la Asamblea y en el Senado, y entonces ellos han hecho que se les permita desarrollar muchísimos edificios para hacer casas. Dice, y estos porque pues pagan pagan para que tengan una campaña y para que puedan ganar. Dice, y esto viene a colación del ex gobernador Brown, que él estuvo construyendo estadios, pero que estos estadios no pasaron exactamente por esas leyes del medio ambiente que ya existían. Se hicieron a un lado.
Okay, so basically, this really began under Jerry Brown, as I said. When Jerry Brown was mayor of Oakland, there were a few things he wanted to build, like an academy for kids who were in trouble to be able to go to school. It'd be kind of a boarding school, almost a military school for kids in Oakland. He had a lot of trouble getting that built because of the environmental impact it had and the effect it had on the neighborhood around it. And what he finally got there was much smaller than what he wanted. And so once he became governor, he tried to get rid of as much of the California Environmental Quality Act as he possibly could. Remember, Jerry Brown was a former Catholic seminarian, and he called this getting rid of CEQA, he called it the Lord's work. And he found a way to get around it for certain big projects. What he discovered when trying to get stadiums built for the Golden State Warriors in San Francisco, for the Rams and Chargers in Los Angeles, and for the Clippers in Inglewood, he managed to, he found that there was a weakness in CEQA. You could, you could, if you were a developer, qualify a local initiative for a local ballot that would okay a certain project. And then once it was qualified for the ballot, the city council of that particular location could adopt it. They could just say, we're not going to put this on the ballot. We're just going to accept it. And that meant that the people who were most affected by these projects had nothing to say about them. And that's how the Golden State Warriors Chase Center in San Francisco got built. That's how SoFi Stadium in Inglewood got built on the land that used to be Hollywood Park Racetrack. And it's how, and the Rams and Chargers play there now. And it's how the arena that's going up for the Clippers and will open in about a year and a half, it's how that arena got going. Now, Newsom wants to take this much farther. He wants to put a time limit on how long legal actions can go on. He wants to, he wants more funding for planning departments and other agencies that review large-scale plans so they can do it faster. And he wants to make other exceptions to the law that we have now. And basically, if Newsom gets his way, this law would have very few teeth left in it. And if you want, I'll stop there.
Okay. Bueno, en el segmento pasado él nos dijo que ya se habían construido muchos edificios, pero que gracias a estas leyes que se han pasado, pero que nadie paga porque las rentas están muy elevadas. Dice, y el exgobernador Brown quería fundar en el lugar donde era alcalde, antes de que fuera gobernador, quería fundar una academia para niños. Dice que fuera como un lugar donde pudieran, como una escuela donde estás, como un internado, donde ahí te preparan y cuando salías ya salías preparado. Dice, y él entonces hizo algunas excepciones porque él decía que esto era una situación de católica. Él era un seminarista católico y él decía que era el trabajo de Dios el proponer este tipo de cosas. Entonces dice, se ha hecho también a nivel local, dice, por ejemplo, se produce un proyecto de infraestructura, se hace la propuesta y luego dicen, ya que calificó para que vaya a la boleta y los ciudadanos de esos lugares puedan decidir si sí o si no, entonces los concejales de las ciudades toman la decisión, no, sí vamos a construir, dice, lo cual hace que no se tenga voz del pueblo de saber si se construye o no. Así se han construido varios estadios, en San Francisco y en otros lugares, haciendo este tipo de excepciones. Y bueno, entonces ahorita lo que también se está pensando es poner un tiempo límite. El gobernador actual, Newsom, está pensando en también poner un límite a que la ley no pueda más que tener determinados días para emprender acciones legales, o sea, reducir el tiempo límite y para permitirle más libertad a las compañías.
Okay, so the one project that Newsom wants to build more than any other and has really gotten nowhere is he wants to put a tunnel underneath the delta of the Sacramento and San Joaquin rivers, just west of Sacramento. And he would like this long, many miles long tunnel to bring water from the Sacramento River down to the State Water Project and move it south, so that the big farmers will have more water. And of course, the people in the Delta, and there are many, many people who live on islands in the Delta and have farms and ranches in the Delta area, they think this would be a complete disaster. But if Newsom's changes went through, he would be able to push, once they get through the legislature, he would be able to push through this project and never mind what its environmental consequences would be. And that's what this is really all about. It's a continuation of what happened under Jerry Brown, and it moves on with Newsom taking over for him. And it goes against what the forces that caused CEQA to be created in the first place. The Center for Biological Diversity, for instance, says that CEQA offers necessary protections for communities and the environment, and we should be very careful before we accept exaggerated claims by development interests and politicians that say otherwise. We just don't want to give people free rein to build, and no matter what happens to the people in the area. It's because we will have to live with those consequences for generations to come. And CEQA has protected us from a lot of trouble in the past, and it can continue, but not if Gavin Newsom has his way and gets it cut back considerably. So, yeah, there we are. So what we have is that the governor is trying to keep the people who are most affected by this project out of having any voice in whether they go forward or not. Basically, that means he has nothing but scorn for the regular people who are involved in this.
Bueno, dice, uno de los grandes proyectos del gobernador Newsom es construir un nuevo túnel que va a ir por abajo de el delta y el valle de San Joaquín, donde son acueductos que conducen agua, dice, y esto para proveerle de agua adicional a los grandes agricultores, ¿no? Y dice, y la cuestión es que la legislatura está haciendo esto y entonces es un problema que no se consideren las leyes del medio ambiente que ya existen y que ya que el exgobernador Jerry Brown había hecho algunas excepciones, pues que ahora también el gobernador Newsom quiere hacerlas, y dicen que esta ley que se llama CEQA, CEQA, es necesaria para proteger a las comunidades de desastres ambientales, que no les preocupe a los que están construyendo y hasta que se vean las consecuencias. Tom, thank you very much. It's time to go. Thank you. Hasta la vista. Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you very much, and thank you folks for listening. I appreciate it.
Adiós.